Hello everyone, welcome to weekly Saturday 11 a.m. technical session on cybersecurity. Any topic we pick up this week, we have picked up a topic called as privacy on the internet. So in this topic, we will exactly know why we need a privacy on the internet in the first place, and we will also know about what are the different steps we can take in order to protect ourselves from hackers or our own privacy, or even the companies which try to actually track us. Okay, now this may not be exactly the skill which is required for a person to become a cybersecurity professional as such, but this is a part of a self cyber awareness. Like, let's say you may not be a cybersecurity professional at this point, but this session is going to give you an idea about how to protect your own self from being tracked, or your own privacy of data and all those things. Other than that, ProSig Training Center is giving uh, a comprehensive training, a very good training on cybersecurity professional. So anyone who has an interest to learn and want to go ahead and pick up cybersecurity as a career option, which is the most sought after career in 2021. And by the way, happy new year to everyone, 2021, and hope this year will be much more fruitful than 2020. And 2020 was a very good opportunistic year, you can say, wherein you got a lot of time to sit at home and do a lot of productive work. For some of the students who were sitting at home, it was a very good opportunity to sit and learn actually. So I hope you will continue that same thing 2021 as well. And here we are to help you out. ProSeek Training Center. You can enroll yourself in cybersecurity professional course and start your career in cybersecurity. So the skill set which is required as expected by the companies who want information security and cybersecurity frameworks to be implemented and audited. So they need people with variety of skills. So whatever you are seeing on the screen, it's not exactly like you have to learn everything. So at least you must have an idea about one programming skill, Python preferably, and you should know what exactly is malware, and malware analysis, what it is, and how to analyze a malware once it is captured inside a capture file in a Wireshark or whatever it is, whatever tool you are using apart from Wireshark to capture it. Risk analysis and mitigation. You should be able to give or help the business decisions. Okay, whether to procure a particular security control or implement a security control, or see, for example, if there is a server, a cyber security professional will be asked a question like whether this server has to be purchased on premises, or you can actually use this server or make it available on the cloud. So which way you prefer? So if you find that having an on premises server is difficult to maintain and it is more riskier, you can always go for a cloud where you are transferring the risk basically. So risk analysis is one of the skills. Then you should know what are the different types of firewalls, HIDS, NIDS, all that stuff is important. And shell scripting, especially bash shell scripting in Linux, because you may be using different types of tools. And most important, patience and perseverance. uh, I have seen many enthusiasts who come to start a career in cybersecurity, but in their view, it's different completely. They think that hacking a Facebook account or hacking a Gmail account or Instagram account, Twitter, this is what is cybersecurity. No, it is not. It's the wrong idea. Absolutely. That is different. Here we are talking about a professional course where you actually get your bread and butter by doing hacking ethically. We are talking about that. Additionally, you can also earn a lot of perks and gain a lot of knowledge just by doing bug bounties and reverse engineering. Yeah. Now, essentially, these are the certificates which are available in the market. CompTIA Security Plus is most sought after certification if you want to start a career in cybersecurity. Followed by, you have two certifications. One is Certified Ethical Hacker by EC Council, and then Offensive Security Certified Professional. So my recommendation always is at least you must have OSCP certification if you want to start your career in cybersecurity. So yeah, you must have knowledge about these two things. Obviously, they will give you an idea about the tools and the basic stuff about cybersecurity. But OSCP is the certification which you have to go after, right? And if you are a seasoned professional who has been working in the industry since 5 to 10 years, and uh, well, sometimes you may not be, in that same learning curve as the young professionals, or 2 to 3 years experienced people. Let's say you don't want to that much technical things, then always there is one certification for you: Certified Information Security Professional, or CISSP, or CISA, or CISM auditing. There are many other ways you can actually get into the cybersecurity career. Freshers, I would say, you have to aim for at least having, if not certification, but at least have an idea about the topics what are there in Security Plus. Know the terms and terminology. Certified Ethical Hacker, then you will have a methodology of what hacking is like. And Offensive Security Certified Professional is where your goal should be always. This is where penetration testing and vulnerability assessment testing will come. This is, and yeah, there are a lot of startup companies who are doing security auditing, so you can easily find your place irrespective of your academic qualification. I'm saying you this one, you need not be a BTech, you BTech in computer science and IT. You can be any stream in the BTech, or if you are BSc graduate, you can still join, and BCom also you can still do it. Okay, now what exactly we do at ProSeek? Well, basically we give you training in all the aspects of these three. That is, we give you basics training, including a part of CCNA, uh, Security Plus, ethical hacking, as well as a bit of OSCP. Okay, and this we are going to cover it in about 45 days to 2 months, every day 2 hours, right? You can call the below numbers. Sorry about that, it's the text is a little bit off, but very soon you will see the numbers there. Or you can SMS, or you can message in Facebook. We will get back to you on the details. Now let's talk about the topic of the day: privacy. Now, most of the identity in Indian citizens, for all the Indian citizens, is Aadhaar card. Wherever you go, if you want to identify yourself, Aadhaar card would help you. It serves as a proof of identity, proof of address across India, and it also empowers residents of India with unique identity. For example, you want to get a benefit from government. Maybe they are giving some housing loans, or without interest or low interest. If you're a farmer, then you can get a lot of benefits just using an Aadhaar card. This is something which is unique. It's almost like a social security number if you are in the US. Okay. Now, privacy for Aadhaar card data is primary importance. So government of India has made sure that whichever organization, whether private or public, is using Aadhaar card, then they must have some process or method to secure this Aadhaar card in an encrypted way, in a proper way. Otherwise, government would say that it is infringement of the privacy of the user, right? Okay, so did bad things happen with this Aadhaar data? Yes, they did happen. You can see the article reference I have given here. Well, it says like big data breach. There is a big data breach, Aadhaar software hack which happened. in 2018. Why did this happen? Did it happen directly from the government server? Absolutely no. This did not happen from the government servers. This basically have happened because of, the data being accessed by third parties. Somebody accessed third party. You gave the citizens, they gave Aadhaar card data to some website, and that website has shared it to someone else, and these have been stored, and that servers have been breached, not the government servers. I'm making it clear again here. No, not the government servers. So yeah, so Indian leaked Aadhaar card. See, Indian is a Indian Oil Corporation, isn't it? Indian Oil Corporation. So they have their server breach, and nearly 67 lakh Aadhaar numbers were leaked. 67, yeah. And you can see this is a Twitter account of the security researcher who has identified this leak, and he has reported that. And since then, the corporation has taken some action and secured it. And now the question is, okay, fine. So yeah, what can we do about it, right? And we'll answer that question in shortly. Now, PM JDY, empowering the poor, banking the unbanked, accidental insurance cover. So all these benefits which are coming from the government are based on the Aadhaar card, whatever we are using here. One second. Okay, I hope you are able to see now phone number which is scrolling below. You can call and ask for the details. These are the goals for Digital India. So since it is going to be Digital India, already people, thanks to Geo, uh, most of the citizens of India, maybe you are a farmer or working somewhere, you have access to internet. Absolutely. So there is no going back now. There is no going back. Everyone got used to internet, and they got to see the benefits of the internet. So the privacy issue is a big thing which you have to protect yourself. Jandan accounts more vulnerable to frauds, as told by RBI. Jandan accounts misused by money mules. Like, see, there will be some people not so literate in the villages. They do not know about these things, but they have an Aadhaar card. So there will be some mules. Mules are, scammers who take their Aadhaar details and they set up fake bank accounts to move around the money. There is some black money with some person, so he will deposit this black money to his account through this poor farmers accounts. Okay, so that was a misuse they have found, because the farmers, they do not know the importance of the privacy or the Aadhaar card. So don't be a victim of that. And then again, Bheem Bharat interface for money. This is where even tea stalls have the scanning QR code today because of Digital India. All right. So all these things happen because we do not have a proper way to set up our privacy on the internet. And not only that, privacy is really important. Let's say if you are a woman or a girl who just started setting up your own social media accounts, and you're posting a lot of things, you mostly are driven by the likes and the shares and the views. Then people go very they go to length and breadth to get those views and likes and all those things. They have people who lost their lives doing some TikTok videos or Facebook lives, doing these things, just to get some likes. Okay, they want to be popular, but the trade-off is they give away a lot of privacy. I have seen cases where they complained that no, somebody's photo has been morphed and posted on some website, and there was a case filed. The police will investigate, and they will see the, okay, fine, so this is the photo, this is the original photo, this is the fake photo, who has posted it. They will have to go around and search for, but it is really difficult to catch the criminal, because these criminals, they use sophisticated VPNs to post data into the internet. So it will be really difficult for them to catch. So best is to prevention. The best method is for preventing any type of leaks from your own mobile phone. Okay, so let's talk about the privacy part here. So what are the things you have to take care to make sure that your data is private, and it is not something which is compromised by a hacker. All right, so what is PII? What is the meaning of PII? PII meaning is personally identifiable information. Okay, no matter where you are in the country, you have, everyone in the country has a PII. What exactly is PII? Personally identifiable information. So this can include your name, your physical home address, your email address, your telephone numbers, your date of birth, your marital status, and your Aadhaar card, and any other information relating to your medical status, your family members, employment, education. All these things come under PII, or personally identifiable information. Now, the moment you started using your smartphone, all this information, that is personally identifiable information, is already there in at least 2 or 3 servers on the internet. Yeah, so internet, the hackers, they have their own methods to get this information. The tools which they use are called as harvester tools, which harvest information from the internet. Okay, and then again, does it matter? See, because you already Aadhaar card, because it is coming free to you, you think that this information is already there. Does it matter? Yes, it does matter, of course, a lot of times, because the scammers, they use your Aadhaar card in a lot of different ways. They can fake your Aadhaar card completely. They can get a duplicate driving license out of your Aadhaar card. You will not even realize until you have a case on you. Yeah, it's really bad. And all this data, whether it is in a different data breaches, sometimes you give your Aadhaar card in some website, and that website is not having a good security controls to secure your data. They may leak the data. There may be a data breach. And there is one place on the internet which is called as a dark web, where all this data, whichever is stolen, is sold for money. The hackers, once they hack the data, they don't use the data. They sell the data to someone to whom this data would be useful. You might be often getting phone calls in the afternoons from marketing companies asking you to, if you are interested to personal loan or buy some real estate land somewhere else. So how did they get your phone number and all your names and everything? Because of this data breaches. Because of this data breaches. See, there are a lot of companies which sell your data for a price. They will say, all these are working phone numbers, 5,000 phone numbers I am going to give you for a price. Yeah. So how can we prevent this data leaks from happening? So first and foremost thing, our browsing habits and website visits is one of the things. So internet activity, whatever websites we browse, is monitored by service provider, that is ISPs, and they can be hijacked. While there is a little consumers that can do about attacks at ISP level, because you don't have control over anything in ISP, right? But the web pages you can visit can be tracked by cookies. So what are cookies? Cookies are small bits of text that are downloaded and stored on your browser. And browser plugins may also track your activity across multiple websites. So whatever plugins you install in your browsers, plugins are small software, additional softwares, like as simple as pop-up blocker. Yeah. Or sometimes we have this plugins which come for shopping, like they will search for coupon codes all over the internet and they will give you the best coupon codes. Many plugins are there, hundreds and hundreds of plugins are there. They usually monitor your activity. Okay, now are cookies bad or good? Well, basically cookies originally are used to personalize internet experience, and this can include like tailored advertising. Okay, let's say for example you are more interested in technical stuff like computers, motherboards, keyboards and all that stuff, then cookies will know the websites, the type of websites which you visit, and they often give you the advertisement relating to what you actually like. Okay, this is sphere advertisement. Yeah, they're targeting you exactly. And these browser plugins, whatever you install, yeah, there are little handy things there, but they actually track your activity and your location also. Okay, and they give this information to advertisement companies, so they see, these advertisement companies, they can give you advertisements based on your locations also. All right. And message and email content, our email accounts are often the pathway that can provide a link to all our other valuable accounts, isn't it? Once you, somebody is compromising our email account, they can compromise everything, plus including because we usually use one email address for a long time, of there is a point where we have all our contacts synchronized in the Gmail account. And for easiness, we also include the email addresses in the contact list of our friends, families, colleagues. Okay, so once an email address is compromised for one particular person, then mostly they can know a lot about you, your friends, your family members and all those things. So hackers may try to obtain our passwords, okay, through credential stuffing or social engineering or phishing scams. Phishing is basically sending you a link to click on the link, and there is a fake website or a web page waiting on the other side, so you will give your username and password there, right? And then also data can be leaked from other resources. One is by your ISP, second one is the websites which you visit through cookies, third one is through your email, and fourth one is from online purchases. Online purchases, when you make anything you buy on the shop, e-commerce shop, then you are also giving your credentials. For example, it could be your Paytm details, credit card information, debit card information, expiry date, security codes. Yeah, so there are some attacks which are called as mage card campaigns. Mage card campaigns, well, they will usually search, this mage card campaign is basically, they will search for any e-commerce websites which has some vulnerabilities, that is weaknesses, and then they inject their code to retrieve the information about the customers, right? Yeah. And you remember one thing, that debit card information, whenever you give on a website, if they are asking that this payment will be stored with us safely, so next time when you want to purchase an item, you need not give all these details. So be careful about those things. Don't save any of your credit card, debit card details on any app or any website, absolutely. Yeah, so recommendation is always use a Paytm or a Google Pay and make payments through those apps, not directly using debit card, not directly using your credit card. If it is an international transaction, use PayPal. So remember here, I repeat, never store your credit card, debit card details on any websites, any e-commerce website. Use Paytm or Google Pay, or if it is an international transaction, PayPal account. So they are well known to store these data. And again, let me tell you here, whatever cards you give even these websites, whether it is a Paytm or Google account which you have linked with your Axel savings accounts or PayPal, make sure that that is a separate account having a limited amount of money, not unlimited amount of money like 2 lakhs 3 lakhs rupees. Don't do that. Make sure that there is a limited amount of money. It's a separate bank account for that. Okay, bank accounts these days are really easy to set up. It's not the big process. They may take hardly 2 to 3 hours and you will have a bank account number easily. Put some money there, 10,000 rupees or something, when you want to shop, right? Use that account. Even if there is some bad thing will happen, then hardly you will lose any money there. Your real account should never be used for shopping. You have to use a shopping account, set up one savings account for shopping and put this money into that. There will be less riskier option. Okay. Yeah. Now, is government or any other body doing something to protect this information, whatever information you are giving? Let's say you have to give some information, then yeah, if for European citizens there is one law called as GDPR. Okay, so GDPR is basically protecting European citizen data. So whichever website want to secure users data, then they must follow these regulations called General Data Protection Regulation or GDPR. And whenever a user visits those websites, it is mandatory that those websites must use a digital certificate and HTTPS communication. Absolutely. Right. So, well, is there a safe way for someone to actually browse the internet? What is the safest way? How are you being getting tracked? So let's see those things with examples here. Okay. Yeah. So let me open this. So here, let's say, well, basically I am connected to internet, so I have my IP address being tracked. You can see my IP address here. So that's my IP address. My public IP address is here. So I'm in Hyderabad. Okay. Now, so what if someone is trying to track me? They will track me on the IP address. So let's say I don't want to be tracked based on my actual IP address, because they know my location and they will give me all the advertisement based on my location, country and all those things. Let's say I don't want to give away my IP address. How to protect it? Well, basically, this browser which I am using is Opera browser, so it has a built-in VPN here. So I'll select the VPN and I will enable the VPN here. Once I enable the VPN, my IP address would change to something like this. So what is this IP address which I am talking about? This is a public IP address. Now you can see my public IP address is now 77 and my location is somewhere in Europe. This one, somewhere in the Europe. So any website which I will be visiting from now, it will see my location as if I am a user who is browsing internet from Europe, not exactly from my original location. So now at this moment, I will not be a victim of some services which are based on the IP address, some advertisements or spams which are based on the IP address. This is one simple way. Okay. Or if you want to go one more step further, let's say you don't want to use a VPN every time like this, but you want something else. Okay. So then there is one website called as one browser called as a Tor browser. You can use Tor. Tor is basically the onion ring. The onion router, you can say. Sometimes people say the onion ring, but it's originally it is called as the onion router. Well, basically, it's a free software. Anybody can download. Anybody can Google and download this software. You just have to go here and type Tor. Tor, Tor browser. Tor browser here. You can download this from here. There are various options. So what does this Tor do? Well, basically this Tor is going to use something called as mixers. What is a mixer? Mixer means you have seen. See, I was connecting to VPN here. So what happened? My original IP address is something. Now I jump to this IP address. From this hop I am able to communicate to the internet. That is only one jump. That's it, to the internet. Just one jump. If you want multiple jumps to happen automatically, then go ahead and use this Tor browser. Download this and use the Tor browser. So once you install a Tor, this is how it actually looks like. So I just started the Tor browser down. Once I download, so it is establishing a connection to the Tor network. Well, basically Tor network is nothing but one user connecting to another user connecting to another user, and so on. It's like a chain completely. But this is all public. Okay, I may be connected to a user who is sitting in the Europe, and he may be connected to some user who is sitting in the Middle East, and from there I will be browsing my internet. So it's like multiple jumps. If someone wants to track me, I'm completely anonymous, because they will have to track those users as well. It's not service providers now. Now these users are not liable to any government law. These users are not liable to any government law, so they wouldn't reveal my information anyway. But and also there is one browser which one search engine which is available along with the Tor, which is called as DuckDuckGo. Now let me tell you the difference between DuckDuckGo and Google. Google will usually track you, whatever searches you do. Google search engine, along with even other search engines like Yahoo or Bing, they make use of these algorithms based on your data to provide personalized experiences. That's what they say. However, the browsing histories, search queries, these can be used to create crossover user profiles detailing our histories, okay, our clicks or interest and more, and may become invasive over time. For example, if you have purchased a microwave oven seeing one of these ads, then you may all see very often those ads as well, right? And what is the way to prevent them? Well, basically to prevent such data from being logged, so you can consider using this alternative. It does not record your search engine history or blocks advertising trackers. Okay, so one of the options is DuckDuckGo. Alright, obviously the results whatever you see in the Google will be different from the results what you see in the DuckDuckGo. Okay, yeah. And this is the browser which is most commonly used by journalists or reporters who does not want them to be tracked or searched upon, right? You can try this DuckDuckGo for having a good privacy when you are browsing here, right? Now let's jump on to other things like VPN. Okay, now VPN, whatever VPN I was using there, well, basically that was a free VPN. The VPN which I was using is a free VPN. This one, the one which comes with the browser, it's free VPN, and the effective speed is very less. Now what exactly is VPN? Well, VPN is basically I'm making a connection from my computer to a VPN server somewhere on the internet, and from there I am browsing the internet. So all my internet traffic is going through that VPN server. That's what it is. So it's basically bypassing all the security policies, content policies which you have in your own country. Let's say your country has blocked XYZ websites, then you can use VPN to browse them anyway, if they are allowed from other countries, because these websites, they see from which IP you are coming from. Now Netflix, for example, will give you content based on your IP address. If you change your IP address and go use VPNs, obviously the content would actually change. Okay, so there are two types of VPN. One is free VPN. This one is free VPN, for example, Opera VPN, and also there are premium VPNs. Like for example, NordVPN is my recommendation. NordVPN. So NordVPN is payment method. You have to pay some money. So there is some deal going on here. Yeah, you can see here it's a 2-year plan where there you are supposed to pay about $371 per month. That's yeah, this is the deal they are giving. What is the advantage of having a premium VPN? Well, basically the speed, your bandwidth will increase, because these people who are giving you VPNs, they will have to maintain this infrastructure to give you that VPN, obviously, so they take money for that, right? So my recommendation is always NordVPN, and there are other VPNs like ExpressVPN is also there. I have seen that, I've used it. This is also providing very good bandwidth. ExpressVPN, you can visit the website here. ExpressVPN, this is a paid one. Okay, the major difference, as I told you already, is the bandwidth. You will have streaming, very good streaming, high definition videos or content you can see using this high speed VPNs. They also have security in them. Now Tor, what is the advantage of Tor? Well, basically Tor is peer-to-peer connection kind of a thing, where one user is connected to another user and so on, right? Good. Next is we'll directly talk about privacy on certain websites. Let's say, for example, let's talk about social media websites here first. Okay, social media websites, the most favorite one is Facebook. If you are a new user to the Facebook, or you have created a Facebook account, well, basically you said to yourself that, okay, fine, I have created Facebook account, but I have done nothing about the settings and all those things, because I don't know what settings I have to use. Well, it's really simple, sir. All you have to do is, once you visit your Facebook account, on the right side there is a profile picture. Here below that you have to go to settings and privacy and click on settings. Then click on security and login. So here this security and login field will actually tell you about the places from where your Facebook account is being currently logged. So sometimes, Facebook users will say, I think my Facebook account has been hacked. Someone else is also using my Facebook account. They are posting some unwanted messages on my Facebook. This happens a lot of time. You get a lot of spam being posted as if you are posting it, and your friends will call you, Hari, why did you post that? What is this you are posting? So yeah, maybe your account has been compromised. Even though you are able to log in, you want to know from which machines has been compromised. So you can see here you can know in this location where you are logged in. So right now it is showing as Secunderabad and all those things, but yeah, it's basically you can know the geographical location. Then the most important setting I would recommend is enabling two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is basically something which you know, okay, that is your password, that is one factor authentication. This is what normally people use Facebook, right? Two-factor authentication is something which you know, your password, plus additionally something which you have. This is what is used by bankers or banking applications, your registered mobile phone. Okay, so you can enable two-factor authentication here. Well, either you can use an authentication app like a Google Authentication, or you can use a text message, that is your mobile phone. So once you log in, every time you log in, immediately there will be an SMS which will be sent by the Facebook to you to authenticate. So you'll have to register that here. So I'll have to enter my password first. Then it is going to ask me mobile phone. Okay, so I'll enter my mobile phone here. So every time I will log in, it is going to send me an SMS, and I'll have to enter the SMS every time I log in. So double security here, that is, even if somebody has actually compromised your Facebook account knowing your password, they should have your mobile phone in order to gain access to your Facebook account, right? And then authorized logins. Review a list of devices on which you won't have to use the login code. That is, let's say it's your own mobile phone, or there is some laptop which you don't want to get SMS, then you can actually review those and you can add here, right? Then this is again one more setting up an extra security. Get alerts about unrecognized logins. That is, we'll let you know if anyone logs in from a device or a browser that you don't usually use. Somebody is attempting to log in with your username. They have not been successful, but they are trying to attempt. Okay, then you will get to know an alert here. So this is the settings you have to check here. So how do you want this alerts to be? You want to get notified on the Facebook or Messenger, or you want to receive as an email. You can even add an additional email if this is not your regular email address, right? If somebody is attempting to log in with your Facebook account, that's it. And then again, you can choose 3 to 5 friends to contact you if you are logged out. Maybe somebody has gone one step further and they have changed your password of the Facebook as well. So what is the preventive action you can take? Well, basically you can choose your friends, a trusted contact, to send you a code or a URL from the Facebook to help you log back in. Always prevention is better than crying later. And second important setting is your Facebook information. Okay, that is, you can under the activity log, you can see, for example, here, view and manage your information and settings here. For example, if you go here to the activity log, you can see exactly what activities you have done. Maybe you have subscribed to something, maybe you have liked something, whatever you did, that is recorded here in the activity log. Okay, you can review all your activity across the social network, that is Facebook, including posts published, messages posted, likes, everything. You can use edit button to allow something on the timeline, hide it or delete it immediately if you don't want. Yeah, post something we have done, you want to hide something, you can hide as well. You can filter here and check out the activities, posts, or whatever it is, right? This is activity. Someone has compromised your Facebook account, you want to know exactly what they have done, then you can actually go ahead and you can see here in this Facebook account. And then there is one download your information tab here. So instead of going to your total history of your web page, a Facebook account. You want to download everything. For example, the posts you have done, the photos and videos, the comments, the friends, stories, events, whatever you have interacted over the period of years, all of my data by default. Okay, from so and so date to so and so date, in the form of a HTML file, you can create a file here. So it's like, and this is available only for you. Nobody else can get this access, by the way. So you want to review all your activity, then you can use this to do that. Okay, download your entire thing, including your photos and videos copy. Let's say you have lost your change your mobile phone, you lost, but you want to download all the photos and videos which you have posted. You can even go there. Okay, and you can delete your account here, activation and deactivation. Let's say you want to completely get off the grid, then you can delete the account here. So one more thing, there is one more setting. Yeah, that's all. So if you look at the privacy here, now here you can control your activity, whatever you do. Okay, and before that, let me go to this section. This is really important. How people can find and contact you. All right, now somebody is a stalker. Maybe you know him since many years, but they are trying to stalk you. They want to know exactly what you are doing at this moment. Yeah, mostly for women here. So how people can find you, you can change the settings. So I will tell you the best setting, what you can do. Who can send you friend request? Leave it to everyone, because it could be someone who is, you know, a long lost friend who want to try to communicate. You can send a request, you can do that. Then again, second setting here, who can see your friends list? Make sure that this is always, again, change it to friends. Only friends can see your friends list, like who your friends are exactly. Okay, who can look you up using email address you have provided here. Then again, even this setting, based on your email address, nobody should be able to know your Facebook profile poll also, or make sure that it is only friends. Again, this setting, who can look you up using your phone number which you have provided. Again, change the settings to friends, not friends of friends, only friends. And then, do you want search engines outside the Facebook to link your profile? Absolutely no. So turn it off, uncheck this and close. So just remember these settings, apply these settings, so you will have your Facebook account secured. Okay, no one will be able to track you and search you except your own friends which you have accepted previously. And always review your friends list. Always review your friends list. Let's say if there is a friends list, if there is a friend because of some event you have met and you did not even talk about him, you are not even contact, you do not even know, then just delete those friends, all the unnecessary friends. Yeah, right. So face recognition, definitely, well, basically understand what exactly face recognition is. They said read this before you enable face recognition. Don't think yourself as a, you know, a spy hero where automatically Facebook will read and it will log in you. No, not like that. Basically what Facebook is doing is it is analyzing your face, okay, and it is recording and storing that data in its own so-called cloud, so that they can be you know, personalized experience and all the other stuff whichever they say here. So find photos and video you are in, so we can help you review, share content, suggest tags and do all those things. But definitely a no for my side. If I should have my privacy. Turn off the face recognition. Absolutely no, not needed. Okay. Next, location tracking. Location tracking is basically Facebook is always monitoring your activity. If you take a photo, it will geotag your photo, and it will also give you a location where you have taken that photo and all that stuff. You don't want that to be tracked. Again, switch it off. Turn off the information here. Right. So these are the major settings I would recommend in Facebook. Because of short of time, I'm not able to tell you everything here. Let's go to the next one, Twitter. Now, Twitter, you might have seen, like most celebrities use Twitter, and their Twitter account gets compromised, isn't it? Why? They do not know, because they themselves want to manage their own security. They have, they may be shy to ask someone what to do in this case, so they get compromised very easily. So let's talk about security on Twitter here. Okay. Now, Twitter, again, as I told you, this will be your default Twitter account. You will have to go to the settings here, more settings and privacy, more settings and privacy. So here, this is your account information and all the things. You can even deactivate here your account, security, account access. Then again, security. One important thing here is two-factor authentication. As I told you, what is two-factor authentication? Something which you know your password, and something which you have is your mobile phone, right? So enable two-factor authentication. Here again, you can use text messaging, OTP, or authentication app like Google Authentication app. So click this to enable phone, okay, mobile number. So verify your mobile phone number and receive text message. You can get started here, and then you can have to enter the password again and enter the phone number and do the rest of the things there, right? So this is the minimum security you must have on a Twitter, right? So next, privacy and safety. Well, privacy and safety, you can deselect the location tracking and stop your location from being posted here. You can see here location information. So add location information to your tweets. So whenever you tweet from a location, automatically your location will be added there. So many people have been caught not knowing this feature. They say I am in so and so place, they click a photo and they put it on a tweet, but their location is revealed anyway. And if you want a privacy, absolutely delete, disable this location. Okay, how do you do that? Well, basically, you can not only remove location from your tweets, you can remove all the previous tweets which you have done information. So you can remove everything. All the location information can be deleted here. This is for your own privacy, so that people will not track you and know where is your home, where is your college, where is your office, and all those details gone. Okay. Yeah, important. I'm just saying you only the important things, whatever you are. Personalization and data. The contents what you see, decide what you see on the Twitter based on preferences like topics, and you can change these things. And who can manage message directly, these things you can do the settings here on this one. And then well, one more is Gmail or Google account. So Google account, if you go here, Google account, if you go here, in the Google account you have your apps, Google apps here. You have to click on the account. Once you click on the account, you will land here, privacy and personalization, manage your data and personalization. You can go here. Now obviously here you can see the web activity, the account storage, download, and all the other features here. You can download your data, and you can delete your data there. Search activity, whatever you have done, add personalization, add settings, your activity, web and activity is on here. So basically the location history is paused, YouTube history is on. You don't want this to be identified by Google, then you can choose to auto delete here. Activity controls, go here, auto delete. What is auto delete? Well, basically if you click on this, it will automatically delete all your web application and activity based on settings. Let's say you want to automatically delete activities for anything which is older than 3 months. You don't want to be tracked by Google or anything. All your activity you can delete it, and you can select next. So deleting now. What is deleting? Maps and navigations. Okay, whatever applications I have used previously, everything will be automatically deleted. So past 3 months, beyond 3 months, I will not have any history of being tracked, right? And then got it. That's it. So every 3 months it is going to delete all my data here. Okay, and then next, what about your email? Let's say you don't want to use Google Gmail server for some reason, because there is a lot of spam coming on. It's occupying a lot of space on your Gmail account, and you are forced to actually buy additional space on the Google. You don't want that, and you also want some privacy for email. Are there any other best email providers? Now Google, for example, if you want to set up your own email account, it is going to ask you your personal details, isn't it? So the next step, it is going to ask you your phone number, isn't it? You give something, let's say ProSeek training, ProSeek Training Center, Hyderabad, 2020. Some password I'll give here. And then next, it is definitely going to ask me my personal data here. For example, phone number, recover email address. Yeah, this is to recover. You don't want to give any of your data and all those things. So by default, the moment you create next, what happens? It is going to create you an email address, but it is also going to track your IP address from where you have created this email address. You want complete privacy? My recommendation is one email address company called as Proton Mail. Proton Mail is a free encrypted email, and this is the Switzerland based organization. Okay, so whenever you want to sign up an email address from them, then, well, basically they have multiple plans here. Okay, multiple plans there. You can choose one of the plans, or you can go for the free one, right? If you select the free one, all they ask you is your username which you want, your password, and that's it. They won't ask you, they won't bother you anything other than this, and they won't spam you as well. Okay, this is a well known under Swiss law, and even the Proton email or in the government of any government, Swiss government or anything like that, they can't decrypt emails. But obviously end-to-end encryption is available only from Proton to Proton, not from Proton to Gmail. Remember here, if you want end-to-end encryption, the sender will be using this server, Proton Mail server, and the receiver should also have the same type of a server. Now WhatsApp privacy you already know. Even though it says like end-to-end encryption is there, but whatever message you send on the WhatsApp, it won't be private anymore, isn't it? Law enforcement agency, they will decrypt all your messages, right? Yeah. Now there is one way you can avoid that in WhatsApp. You can have a privacy on the WhatsApp as well. How? Well, basically, in your WhatsApp, you have to disable the backups which are taken for the WhatsApp and stored on the Google Drive. Once you disable them, and the backups will be automatically forced to take in your own local mobile phone instead of sending them to Google Drive, because once your Google Drive is hacked, all your WhatsApp messages are decrypted and they will be revealed out. They can be cracked very easily. Okay, so yeah, this is all about the privacy, and I have focused on the things which you actually use, like Facebook or your Twitter or social media security, or this will even apply to in general security for any web application to protect your privacy. So this is one of the many sessions we are going to have in our course. Okay, so yeah, so please SMS, or you can contact our team. They will be very happy to help you out.